The wind howled like a wounded animal, the sound echoing through the metal corridors of the oil rig. I shivered, pulling my parka tighter around me. The cold here in the Arctic was like a living thing, seeping into your bones, sapping your will to live. I'm Samantha Reeves, but everyone calls me Sam. I've been working on oil rigs for the past decade, but I've never experienced anything like this. We're stranded out here, hundreds of miles from civilization, and something is hunting us. It started a week ago. The night crew failed to check in for their shift. When we went to investigate, we found them torn to pieces, their blood staining the snow a sickly crimson. It was a scene straight out of a horror movie. At first, we thought it must be a polar bear. They're known to be aggressive, and the brutal cold can drive them to desperate acts. But then the attacks continued, each more vicious than the last. We tried to send out a distress call, but the storm had knocked out our communications. We were cut off, alone, with no hope of rescue for weeks. That's when we found what was left of Ted Carson. He was a good man, always ready with a joke to lift our spirits. But the thing we discovered, half transformed into a monstrous beast, that wasn't Ted anymore. I'll never forget the sight of it. The way its human eyes stared out at us from that twisted, inhuman face. The intelligence lurking behind the feral hunger. We barely made it back to the mess hall alive. Now we huddled together for warmth and protection, jumping at every creak of the metal, every howl of the wind, waiting for the next attack. There are only a handful of us left now. The creature is picking us off one by one, toying with us. I can feel the fear and paranoia taking hold, see it in the wild eyes of my crewmates. I've taken charge as best I can, trying to keep everyone focused on survival. We've barricaded the doors, armed ourselves with whatever makeshift weapons we can find. But deep down, I know it's only a matter of time. The guilt weighs heavily on me. I think back to the mistakes I've made, the people I've let down. I wonder if this is my punishment, to die out here in the cold, torn apart by a monster. But I can't let the others see my fear. They're counting on me to be strong, to find a way out of this nightmare. The lights flicker overhead, the generator straining to keep up with the demand. Outside, the storm rages on, the wind screaming like a banshee, and beneath it all, a deeper sound, the howl of the beast. It's close now. I can feel it. The hairs on the back of my neck stand up, my heart pounding in my chest. I grip the fire axe tightly, the weight of it reassuring in my hands. Beside me, the others clutch their own improvised weapons, lengths of pipe, wrenches, hammers. We've pushed the tables and chairs up against the doors, but I know it won't hold for long. The creature is too strong, too determined. The howling grows louder, closer. The metal groans as something heavy slams against the barricade, once, twice. On the third impact, the doors burst open, sending debris flying. And there, silhouetted against the driving snow, is the monster. It's even more horrifying up close. A massive, hulking brute, covered in coarse fur matted with blood. Its jaws are lined with razor-sharp teeth, its claws like meat hooks. But worst of all are its eyes filled with a terrible intelligence, a cruel hunger. Those eyes fix on me, and I feel a chill that has nothing to do with the cold. It knows me somehow, recognizes me as the leader, the strongest of the herd. It lunges forward, moving with a speed that belies its size. I swing the axe, feeling the jarring impact as it bites into flesh and bone. But the creature barely seems to notice. It swats me aside like a rag doll, sending me crashing into the wall. I taste blood, feel the snap of ribs. Around me, the others are screaming, fighting for their lives. But it's a losing battle. The creature tears through them like they're made of paper, painting the walls with their blood. I struggle to my feet, clutching my side, determined to make a last stand. The monster turns to face me, its muzzle dripping gore. It stalks forward, savoring the moment. I raise the axe, ready to go down fighting. But then I see it. A flicker of recognition in those inhuman eyes. A glimmer of the man it used to be. Ted. I whisper, my voice hoarse with pain and fear. Ted, it's me. It's Sam. For a moment, just a moment, I think I see something change in its expression. A hesitation, a conflict raging behind those eyes. But then the hunger takes over once more, and it lunges for my throat. I close my eyes, waiting for the end. But the pain never comes. Instead, I hear a deafening bang, feel a rush of heat wash over me. I open my eyes to see the creature staggering back, a gaping hole in its chest. Behind it stands Mick, the rig's mechanic, holding a flare gun. His face is pale, his hands shaking, but his aim is true. The monster lets out a roar of pain and fury, thrashing wildly. But it's too late. The flare has ignited the gas in its lungs, setting it ablaze from the inside out. We watch in horrified fascination as it burns, the stench of charred flesh filling the air. It takes a long time to die, but finally it collapses to the ground, its body crumbling to ash. In the sudden silence that follows, we stare at each other in shock, survivors against all odds. But as I look around at the carnage, the bodies of my friends and colleagues strewn about like broken dolls, I feel a hollow victory. We may have survived, but at what cost? The storm outside shows no sign of abating. We're still trapped here, on this godforsaken rig in the middle of nowhere. And who knows if there are more of those things out there, waiting in the shadows. We set about the grim task of cleaning up, of trying to restore some semblance of order. But it's hard to focus on the mundane when the specter of death still hangs heavy in the air. I find myself constantly checking the wounds on my body, half expecting to see coarse hair sprouting from the gashes. I think back to Ted, to the way he changed. Is that what awaits me now? A slow, agonizing transformation into a monster? The others are starting to look at me differently, too. I catch them whispering when they think I'm not looking, see the fear and suspicion in their eyes. They know I was closest to the creature when it died. They wonder if I've been infected. I try to push those thoughts aside, to focus on keeping us alive until help can arrive. But the seed of doubt has been planted, and I can feel it growing with each passing hour. The days blur together, an endless cycle of cold, hunger, and fear. We ration our supplies, huddling together for warmth in the increasingly frigid temperatures. And then, one morning, I wake to find fresh blood on my pillow. I stare at it in horror, my mind reeling. I check myself for wounds, but there's nothing. No cuts, no bites. But I can feel something inside me. Something dark and hungry, stirring to life. It whispers to me in the long, lonely hours, urging me to give in to the primal urges clawing at the edges of my mind. I try to fight it, to hold on to my humanity. But with each passing day, it gets harder. The hunger grows, becomes an almost physical pain gnawing at my insides. The others are starting to notice the changes in me. The way my eyes gleam in the darkness, the way I prowl the corridors late at night. They're getting ready to put me down like a rabid dog. Part of me wants them to do it, to end this nightmare before I become the very thing we fought so hard to survive. But another part, the part that grows stronger with each passing moment, wants to hunt. To feel the thrill of the kill, the hot rush of blood in my mouth. In the end, it's the hunger that wins out. I can't fight it anymore, can't deny the beast inside me. Under the light of the full moon, I slip away into the frozen wastes, leaving the rig and my old life behind. Out here, In the vast, empty expanse of the Arctic, I can be what I was always meant to be. I throw back my head and howl, the sound echoing across the icy landscape, and from somewhere in the distance I hear an answering call. I'm not alone out here. There are others like me, creatures of the night, hunters in the dark, and together we will feast. As I lope off into the darkness, I spare one final thought for my former crewmates, huddled in their fragile shelter of steel and concrete. They thought they had escaped the nightmare. But the nightmare is only just beginning.